Welcome to the next Pragmatic Talks episode in the series about hiring top talents for your business. In the first part of the series, we covered the topic of how to craft an exceptional and well-converting job offer. If you haven't watched it yet, I recommend you to check it out before or after watching this video. Today, we're gonna focus on the recruiting process itself. I'm going to share with you our lessons learned from processing tens of thousands of candidates and hiring hundreds of them in the past 10 years at Pragmatic Coders. So, let's begin! Welcome to Pragmatic Talks, a podcast and video series where we discuss startups, contemporary digital product development, modern technologies, and product management. Based on the previous episode in the series, you have already crafted your job offer well. You posted it on the right job portals, and you have started your active recruitment, also known as candidate sourcing. You already see the inflow of candidates who are attracted by your job offer, and now you need to process them somehow. It might sound obvious that you need to interview those candidates, maybe ask them to perform some recruitment tasks and activities. So you are thinking, what could possibly go wrong here? Well, first of all, you need to design the process that will allow you to choose only those candidates that will perform well in your context and in your company. Candidates who will be able to do the job you are going to assign to them. And you need to eliminate those candidates who will not match your criteria and who may become a needed cost later on. You probably cannot eliminate all recruitment mistakes, but you can limit them to a minimum thanks to a well-designed recruitment process. Secondly, a very important yet often forgotten recruitment process aspects are its scalability and efficiency. It is not hard to implement a really good recruitment process that will eliminate most of potential recruitment mistakes, but it would only work for a very limited number of candidates because of its costs and time needed to perform. Before we start, please remember that at the end of the day, your goal is not eliminating all candidates, but hiring the right ones. Various companies rely on various recruitment processes, but today I'm going to share with you a process that we developed and optimized many times in the past 10 years at Pragmatic Coders. That way we managed to avoid many potential mishires and still keep the process fast, efficient, and comfortable both for candidates and recruiters. Our recruitment process consists of a few stages which I will describe in a moment. Those stages are CV selection, second, phone screen call, and optional a technical task. Third, technical check. Fourth, culture check. Fifth, offering and feedback. The goal of the first stage, a CV selection process, is to eliminate candidates whose experience doesn't not match to our current job we are looking for. For example, we are looking for a senior developer who will lead the team, but the current candidate has only 2 years of experience, which is not enough for this kind of job. But it doesn't necessarily mean that candidates who were rejected here will be forgotten forever. We simply move those candidates to one of our candidates pools that we may use in the future when we will have other job opportunities available. The right filtering of candidates and assigning them to the proper job pools or labeling them in the right way provide a lot of benefits long term. When selecting candidates based on their CV, we should look for keywords mentioned in the job description we crafted before. Limiting the number of mandatory requirements in a job offer that I mentioned in the previous episode about hiring now should be also reflected in the CV reviewing process. Also, if we have many candidates, we can score them based on the other unmentioned in the job description skills that we are looking for. But at the end of the day, CV should not be the only way of learning about candidate's skill. Well, maybe except for the situation when we are looking for someone whose job will be somehow related to crafting a great document. For example, some jobs in marketing or recruitment itself. Also, an unreadable CV prepared by a UX designer may not be a good sign as well. Okay, we selected some candidates based on their CV, but probably there are still many of them and not all of them are those who are we looking for. The easiest way to confirm that someone is the right person to process further in the process is to perform a quick phone call and ask a few questions. First of all, as a recruiter, check what information in the CV you are missing. That is a good starting point for a phone call and a good moment to ask about. Secondly, if you have more nice-to-have requirements than those included in the job offer, you should ask if the candidate has experience or knowledge in the areas you are interested in. A phone screen call is also a good moment to assess the candidate's motivation. Why is he or she changing job? And or what is he or she looking for at the moment. Last but not least, talk about candidates' salary expectation. That will not only save you some time later, but also could set the proper requirements level for the further steps in the recruitment process. Based on the candidate's expectation, you may decide at what seniority level the bar should be hanged on during the next stages. Of course, if you have the flexibility here. The goal of the screen call is to learn more about the candidate, clarify things not included in the CV, and eliminate candidates who are not the right fit. I recommend to define a clear criteria here that will be rather eliminating more than less candidates at this stage. Phone screen is a way effective than just CV screening in terms of making the right choices and is still way cheaper than the next stages. If the candidate passed the phone screen, you should invite him or her to the next stage. And here we usually do a technical interview, but there are some exceptions. Especially when we are hiring for junior roles, we tend to send some recruitment task before we invite someone for a technical interview. That way we cannot only assess basic technical skills, but also check the candidate motivation and commitment. Vast majority of junior candidates eliminates themselves by not sending those tasks at all. By the way, by technical skills or technical check, I mean not only programming roles, but also any skills that are basic skills for doing a particular job. For example, for a junior content writer position, we would assign a task of preparing a CEO-friendly article on a given topic. For junior HR or recruitment person, we would ask candidate to craft a job offer. For junior UX designer, we would ask to perform some basic UX research for a fake product and etc. for different roles. But let's assume we are not recruiting for a junior role, then we usually skip the technical task and go directly to the interview. The topic of how to perform a good technical interview as well as how to do an effective culture check are the materials for the next full episode that we are going to record and release soon. But let me share some basics here as well. The goal of the technical interview is to check if the candidate has the proper technical skills to do the job. How you design this stage of the recruitment process strongly depends on the job that you are recruiting for. What I can recommend to you is not to focus on theoretical knowledge, but rather ask candidates about their experience and search for similarities in what they have been doing in the past and what you are looking for. You can also ask more case study and particular problem-solving questions based on the challenges you are facing or foreseeing in the project you are hiring for. At this stage, you are eliminating candidates whose skills are not good enough. The candidates who pass positively through it now should be invited for a culture check. The culture check is probably the most important stage of the process. From our experience, any mistakes here always led to big troubles in the future. And those are not our experiences only. Based on the data from a brilliant book titled Hiring from Attitude, written by Mark McMurphy, only 11% of reasons of mishires are related to the lack of technical skills. Other 89 of mishiring reasons are connected to culture fit, coachability, and motivation. This is why it is so important to check it well. And if you would like to learn how to do that, don't forget to subscribe to our channel to be notified about the next episodes where we are going to discuss that topic in details. In our case, if somebody do not pass positively through culture check, we are not going to hire such a person, no matter how technically great she or he is. We've made some exceptions in the past, and as I mentioned before, we always regretted it. No more exceptions. Be serious when it comes to your company culture. Always. So, we went through all stages, and I think it is a good moment to mention that the results of every recruitment stage, from CV selections and phone screen through technical and culture check, should be properly noted. To make your process scalable, first of all, you need to make it repeatable and standardized. A good practice is to formulate a question set for each role you are hiring for. And that could be even 20 to 30 questions with some examples of positive and negative answers for each job and seniority level. But no worries, only let's say 3 to 6 of them should be mandatory to ask by all recruiters. And the rest are something the recruiters could but do not need to use during the interview. Also, it is good to create a recruitment manual. The best would be to have one universal manual for all job positions. That is possible to achieve only if your recruitment process is standardized across the entire company or at least department. That way you will be able to quickly train and assign more recruiters to the process if you need to speed up or hire more talents. At each stage, recruiters should assign some scoring for each candidate. They should also write down the feedback for the candidate, aside of internal notes used for further stages and decision process. That way, at the end of the day, you will be able to compare all the candidates and select the best of them based on the less biased metrics. Implementing such process in place should allow you to minimize the risk of mishires when keeping your recruitment process costs at a reasonable level. Now, the only thing that left is to offer the right candidates. After performing all of the process stages well and using all of the opportunities to answer all of the candidates' questions about the job to be done, the team, the company, and its culture, preparing the right job offer should be a formality. Of course, there might be some rare situation where candidate will reject it. And most often, after that process, they do that because they see they are not the best fit. And it is great, because that saves a lot of time and money both for them and for you. Last but not least, what about rejected candidates? In my opinion, especially for candidates who went further in the process than a phone screen call, you should always send them a feedback. That will not only improve your employer branding on the market, but it will also give you a huge chance that the most coachable candidates will come back to you after some time and after learning what they were missing for before. Those kind of employees are usually the best one. I hope you will find this episode useful. Let us know in the comments if you have any questions or maybe you have some other tips for our listeners on how to hire best talents. And see you in the next episodes in the series where we are going to dive deeper into technical and culture check. Thank you for your attention. Pragmatic Talks is delivered to you by Pragmatic Coders, the first choice software development partners for startup founders. Be sure to catch all new episodes. Subscribe to our YouTube, Spotify or Apple Podcast channels. And if you are thinking about building your own startup or struggling with product development, contact us and find out what we can do together.